Before we start this video, a large thank you to Brimorak, RGNR, David, Alexander, Nick, Trevor, and Siamo for their support on Patreon. I hope you guys enjoy the video. And a massive thank you to Halo Burner for their immense support to the channel on Patreon. It is greatly appreciated, my friend, and I hope you enjoy the video. Hello everybody, and today we're going to add combos to our attacks, including our light and heavy and charged attacks. So let's start by opening up the player combat manager here. I'm just going to make a header called flags. And I'm going to add in two bools, but we're actually going to comment out one for now because it's not important. The first one is bool can combo with main hand weapon. And we're going to start by initializing that of false. And then we can make one for the offhand weapon too in the future. But offhand attacks aren't going to be handled probably until we do blocking because they're going to share a similar kind of sequence. So we're going to leave that for now commented out. Next, right below, let's make a public void enable can do combo. And if you want, you can make this a virtual void and override it here and make the based on the character combat manager, because AI will definitely have combos, but they'll be handled probably differently than the player. So for the player, we're going to check if we are using the right hand. Then we're going to say can combo with main hand weapon is equal to true. Otherwise, you can leave a comment here. You can enable combo for your offhand weapon. So again, that's player.playerNetworkManager.is using right hand.value. All right, so let's save that. Now let's go over into the project. And what I want to do now is look for the humanoid animator and make sure we're on that so we're all on the same animator page. Go to the action override and let's go and check out our main attack 01 here. So again, I'm using the straight sword package, which you can get in our asset shop. There's also free animations on Mixamo you can find everywhere. So I'm going to go to the animation we've set up and we have a few events here. And I like keeping the number consistent to when we can combo. So however many frames after you close your damage collider, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, find a number that fits for you, and I'm just going to add an event here, and then I'm going to get the function name, go back and copy and paste it just to be safe, and then we can just paste that in the animation event just right here. Alright, so optionally, you can disable the combo after a certain amount of frames if you want the window to not be that long. So we're going to make a function for disabling it anyway because we need it regardless of if you want to do that, so let's do that. So let's copy and paste this public void disable can do combo, and all we do is set both the can combo with main hand weapon and if you have it enabled, can combo with offhand weapon to false. I'm just going to comment out the second one right now because we're not using it. I don't like to leave code active if it's not implemented yet because it might get confusing if you come back and think you've already done it, only to realize that it's not implemented. So that's why I like commenting stuff out that I haven't done yet, but I'm going to do in the future. So I'm going to save that now, and like I said, if you wanted to, you can come over here and you can say however many frames you want ahead, paste this in here like this, disable can do combo, but I'm not going to do that. I don't do that because I disable can do combo when we transition back to the empty state here, which we're going to do in the future, so I don't like to do that. But if you want to limit the frames you can combo at, totally cool, do that right there. Alright, I'm going to save this again. I'm going to actually copy these two functions and delete them from here, because they're technically animation events, so I'm going to put them on the player animator manager. And again, this is going to house all of our animation events in the future, and we're going to have quite a few. So I'm going to make a comment here, animation event calls. So these are called, these functions specifically on animation events. Now we just say player.playerCombatManager to reference the can combo with main hand weapon. And likewise down here too for disable again, we also need to reference that. Okay, so I am going to save this once again. And I'm going to go back over now to our animations, and I'm going to drag in the light attack 02 animation. You can see here it actually starts right where the light attack 01 would leave off for that combo. It's in that pose already. So these are made specifically, obviously, to chain from a combo. So I'm going to copy the name of main attack 01, paste it here, and change 1 to a 2 for main attack 02. I'm going to make a transition back to empty. You should always check your settings here for the exit time. You want to make sure they're similar across the board, unless you're going specifically for something it's not. So mine's a 0.9 here, 0.9, and the transition duration is 0.15. You might want to play around with this because you don't want it exiting too quick. It depends on what the feel of the game you're going for, of course. So I'm going to copy all of the animation events in light attack 01, and I'm going to paste them in light attack 02, which has changed their position. So I'm going to specifically look for where I think the animation here closes the damage collider. I'm just going to line that up because I believe the opening time is pretty much the same across the board for these animations, the time that you can do damage with both these light attacks. So yeah, that looks really good to me right there. I can move it back a frame if I wanted to, but that's fine right now. I'm going to keep that as it is. All right, so now we have a way to enable the combo, but we don't have a way to actually perform the animation. So let's go to the light attack weapon item action now, and we're going to write the logic to perform a combo. Now, I made a little bit of a mistake here before. We actually don't need to reference our right or left hand on this because we're never actually going to perform an offhand light attack action from the script. It's going to be handled from a different weapon item action. This one's specifically for the main hand. So with that being said, we can kind of erase some of the code here. But before I do that, I'm going to say if player performing action dot player combat manager dot can combo with main hand weapon, and they are performing an action, then we can do a combo. Otherwise, we can do a regular attack. Now, why do they have to be performing an action? This implies that we're attacking because that bool gets triggered to true when we enter an attack. So I'm going to say if we are attacking and we are able to perform a combo, then we're going to do a combo. Otherwise, we do a regular light attack, which is the light attack 01. So the only time you will be performing an action and able to combo at the same time is if you're attacking and you can perform a combo. So again, otherwise we just perform a regular action. So if you're in the middle of an attack and you can combo, do a combo, otherwise regular action. And again, we can delete the left and right hand stuff here. That was a mistake on my part. This is going to be a different item action for handling offhand attacks. So paste the function here down below for the regular attack, light attack 01. Otherwise, we're going to say player combat manager dot can combo is equal to false. And now we need a way to figure out which attack to play based on the last attack we played. So let's make a comment here. Perform an attack based on the previous attack. Now, how are we going to know that? So this is pretty straightforward. We already have a function called play target attack animation, okay? And we do a lot of stuff there regarding attacks. So we're going to add one line of code to that. That's going to make our life easier. But before we do that, we got to go to the character combat manager, and we're going to add a header called last attack animation performed. And all this is going to be is a string. So I'm going to call it public string last attack animation performed. You can just call it last attack animation if you want, or even last attack, as long as you know what this is. And then go over to our play target attack action animation function. So that's over on the character animator manager. So I'm going to open that up, and then I'm going to go over there, scroll down here. So in this function, we have a few things going on. You can see here we're setting our attack type. So right below that, let's set the attack animation as well. We can do that by saying character combat manager, and we reference that string we just made. So that's last attack animation performed is equal to the target animation, and that's the target animation that we play when we call this function. So if we call this function with main attack 1, then our last attack is main attack 1. We call this function with main attack 2, our last attack is main attack 2, and now we have a way to track which attack we just played. So with that logic now, we can copy and paste light attack 01, and we can change this to light attack 02 and change the animation reference to main attack 02, which is what we have it called in the animator. And now we're just going to use an if statement. So if our last attack is main attack 01, then obviously our next attack will be main attack 02. And if our last attack is main attack 02, our next attack will be main attack 01. Now you can do this with a chain of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 attacks you want to do, just like Elden Ring. You just have to make a different light attack weapon item action scriptable object or script for every different weapon type that you have. So some attacks might have 2 chains, might have 3, 4, yada, yada, yada. We're only going to do 2 because that's all we have right now. And the logic is exactly the same. You just add another if statement, if, else if, else if. So basically we just need an if and an else, because if it's not 2, it's 1. And if it's not 1, obviously it's 2. And that's it. We save it. So now we can perform our attack animations. Down here, though, I'm going to add an else if. So if we're not performing a combo, we need to make sure that we're not also performing an action, because you can't attack while you're already performing an action. Only if you can combo, then you can perform a combo. Otherwise, you could just stop whatever you're doing and attack all the time. You could attack in the middle of a roll, you could attack whatever. We don't want that, so make sure you're checking for is not performing action. Now, let's go back over to the animator, go to the empty reset flag here, and what we want to do is come down here and character animator manager, character combat manager disable can't do combo. So the AI is going to have a combo too, but it's going to be different than a person or a character, because some AI might not be humanoid, so they might not have a left or right hand. So what we can do is go back to the player animator manager and make these virtual voids, and we're just going to override them. So we're going to override the virtual void that doesn't exist yet, and let's copy and paste these functions, go to the base class and paste them and make them virtual. And on the base class here, we're just going to have nothing in them because depending on the kind of AI you have, they'll be different. So this base class will have nothing defaultly. For the player, it will check for the left or right hand, and for the AI, it will check for whatever you want it to check for. So on the base class, nothing. And now we're good to go. So now let's go back over to reset action flag. And then we're going to call character.character animator manager.disable can do combo right here. And now we should be good to go and test this out in the game. I think that is everything we need before we actually start modifying the damage types. So let's go in here and I'm going to attack this character and nothing happens because I forgot to click spawn. So if you're like me, go do that right now. If you have a dummy in the scene, it's going to go down here and hit spawn. And now we can actually do some damage. So now I'm going to attack him. And if I combo, yes, there we go. Damage given 130, damage given 118. So that's a problem. We're not actually doing any different damage. We should be doing more on the second attack, honestly. So let's open up the melee weapon damage color and see what's going on. So if we go down here to where we damage our target, you can see we're not actually modifying the damage for anything beyond light attack 01, heavy attack 1, or charge attack 01. So let's change that right now. Let's copy this case and let's paste it down here and change light attack 01 to light attack 02. And let's apply the modifier of light attack 02, which doesn't exist. So let's add that as well. So we come back up here. You can see we have light attack 01. Let's copy and paste this. And we can find where we're calling light attack 01 by right-clicking it and finding all references. This is a faster way to do it. And we can scroll down through these references. You can see we call it over here on the set weapon damage, which is on the weapon manager. So I'm going to open that up. And now let's say melee weapon damage collider dot light attack 02 modifier is equal to weapon dot light attack 02 modifier, which doesn't exist also. So let's make that on the weapon item. And while we're here, let's do this for heavy attack 02 as well, and also charged attack 02. So let's go back to the melee damage collider script. Let's copy and paste heavy attack 01 and make heavy attack 02. And let's copy and paste charged attack 01 and make charged attack 02. So we cover all of our bases at once here. And you're going to get some errors, obviously, because all these don't exist yet. So for example, heavy attack 02 modifier doesn't exist, charged attack 02 modifier doesn't exist. So let's go up here now and make these modifiers on the melee weapon damage collider script. Just copy and paste them, change a 1 to a 2. And then we're going to have to go back and call them on the weapon manager script again. And then we have to make them, lastly, on the weapon item script. But we'll do that for you this here. So let's just copy again on the weapon manager set weapon damage. Let's copy and paste heavy attack 01 modifier, change it to heavy attack 02. Let's copy and paste charge attack 01 modifier, change it to charge attack 02. All right, so make sure you're changing them here on the right side too, the weapon item references. So you should have 3 errors there like that: light attack 02, heavy attack 02, and charge attack 02. So next, let's go to our weapon item script here, and let's just basically make these modifiers. Now, originally I made light attack 01 modifier 1.1, so it was just different than the base, so we could see it in the debug menu. But now that we have a second modifier, I'm going to change that back to 1.0 as a default. And then I'm going to make the light attack 02 modifier something like 1.2 maybe. And then the heavy attack 01 modifier, that's cool at 1.4. We can make the heavy attack 02 modifier, say 1.6. I like giving a bit more damage on the combo because it incentivizes swinging that extra time. So charge attack 01 modifier 2.0, charge attack 02 modifiers, we'll say 2.2. And these are just, some base numbers. Feel free to make it whatever you want, whatever the feel of the game you're going for. Obviously, you don't need to copy these numbers. So let's save that now, and let's go back here, and I have an error. There's no heavy attack 02 enum. So let's go to our enums and add that. I guess I didn't do that before. So, oh yeah, we have a charge attack 01 and 02, but not a heavy attack 01 and 02. Kind of funny how I forgot that. All right, so let's make that. Now, beware, when you change an enum here and add one to it in the middle of the list, it will change the serialized value of enums in scripts and other places. Just beware of that, and I'll show you what I mean later on. So if I go over here now and attack this gentleman, we do 130 damage with the first attack. Cool. And if I attack him with the second attack, 142. Working as intended. You should always test, by the way. Very important. So cool, that's great. We know it's working as intended. So let's go to the heavy attack weapon item action now, and we can do the same. And I've made the same mistake here referencing the left and right hand, thinking that we're going to perform an offhand attack from here, but we're not. So this is strictly for the main hand, so let's erase that. And now we can actually just copy our logic on the light attack action here, identically actually. And this will work exactly as it's supposed to. We just need to replace the words light with heavy, because they share the same functionality exactly. So we're just referencing a different animation really. And this is referencing, the only difference, all the charge stuff is handled from the animator itself. So we can just, again, down here, if you're performing a regular action, paste the functionality that was there before, perform heavy attack 01, check for heavy attack 01 instead of light attack 01, and then perform heavy attack 02 or heavy attack 01 instead of light attack 02 or light attack 01. So again, copy the heavy attack 01 variable, paste it, and then make a heavy attack 02 variable, and then you're good to go. Make sure you're setting your attack types and all that stuff. We're good. We can save that. So I'm going to test this in the game here, and we should be fine. But you should always test because you can always forget stuff. So I'm going to go, the animator first, right? We got to put in the animations. Let's copy and paste the entire heavy attack 01 attack chain, and just paste that right below here, and change the 1s to 2s, and let's set up our heavy attack 02 animations. So again, I'm using the straight sword pack. It's available in the description from our asset shop, but you can find lots of free animations on Mixamo. You might need to cut them up a little bit if there's no charge, hold, and release segments, or you can do it a different way. Just whatever you want to do. There's lots of animations out there for free. So I will link a link in the description where you can find those as well. So I'm going to make a transition back to the empty state, of course. And what we want to do is, again, make sure our exit times are similar, unless you don't want them to be similar for a specific reason. But I want mine similar because my exits are all set up that way. It's very similar timings. So I'm going to go to main attack 02 now and drag in my straight sword charge 02 charge attack. And likewise, I'm going to make the hold 02, the release 02, and the release full 02. So just basically make sure all the animations are properly changed from the first version to the second version of the attack if you're using the same straight sword set as me. And then, likewise, we want to set up our animation events. And now, these are a little bit different, the timings, but we can still copy and paste the events and just move them around. It's a lot easier than manually inserting all of them. But before we do that, we actually have to add our enable can do combo event, and then we can copy and paste them all. So I'm going to go to where I close the damage collider. And again, I'm going to go like between 6 and 8 frames afterwards. That's what I like. But it depends entirely on the speed you are going for. This will change the speed dramatically, how quickly you can combo after an attack. So keep that in mind. I'm just going to type in enable can do combo, and then I'm going to copy all these animation events. Oops, I forgot to, on the release full, we need to also enable can do combo before we move on. So I'll allocate it frames ahead, add an animation event, enable can do combo. Okay, cool, let's apply that. Now let's go over to the release, and let's paste these animation events. I'm going to look for where the damage clutter closes, maybe like right there. Honestly, it's probably a bit too far. I think I need to pull it back a little bit. Yeah, so it should be open way before that. It should open right here. There we go. I'm just going to drag that back, and let's just see where it closes. Yeah, that looks perfect, actually. Okay, cool. So that's good. I'm going to apply that now and do the same thing for release full. Now, release full has got the same timing. It just projects the character further, more forcefully. So, yep, that's perfect. All right, cool. Now we can apply that. And now it should be ready to test. If I go in the game here now, I'm just going to actually go over to the dummy. We're going to check the damages, spawn them first to make sure you can take damage, of course. Now, let's lock on to them, and I'm going to do a heavy attack. 165 looks good, but then I do the second heavy attack, and it's not changing. So let's check and see where we got this problem. Well, our modifiers in the weapon item are fine, so that's not our problem. You can see 1.4 and 1.6, they're different numbers. Let's go to the melee weapon damage collider script and see if our problem's there. Nope. Okay, we're setting our modifiers correctly. 1 is 1 and 2 is 2. So the problem must be on either the animator or the heavy weapon attack item actions. Let's go to perform heavy attack, and yep, there's our problem. We're not setting the attack type to 2 here, even though we're playing the 2 animations at 1. That's why you should always test off. Very easy to make a mistake like that. So if I go back into the game and save it, you can see here, boom, 165 and then 189 working as intended. Now there's a problem though. If I perform a charge attack, it's probably not going to work, and I'll explain why. So I'm going to do a charge attack now, and the numbers might not change. Let's see. It might actually, but we'll see. Yeah, so no, that was 189. Now, why is that? So we inserted an enum into a list in the middle of the list, and we have a serialized enum here. So you can see this was charge attack 01 before, but now it's heavy attack 02. So fix that. Change these to charge attack 01 and 02 respectively. But basically, because we added an enum into the middle of this enum list, it kind of pushed everything else down, and the serialized value changed from charge attack 01 to heavy attack 01. Now if I go in the game here and do a charge attack, you can see that is working as intended. So I can charge it up 236 and then charge it up again 260. So there you go, guys. You have combos for light attacks, heavy attacks, and charge attacks. They all do damage depending on the damage modifiers. That's a pretty cool system. So everything there is working as intended. But just be wary if you ever change an enum, specifically if you add an enum to the middle of an enum list. It doesn't matter if you add one to the end, but if you insert one in the middle, then wherever enums are serialized, they're going to change, most likely. At least every time I've done it, they've changed. So guys, if you've learned something new, be sure to leave a like and drop a comment. It actually helps out the series so much, and I appreciate each and every one of you that take the time to do that. I appreciate you all for being here. So thank you for watching. Thank you for joining me on this beautiful Friday. I hope you all have a lovely weekend. And now we're going to get into doing some basic AI. So we're going to start that in the next video. We're going to start with a very simple system. And before I go, obviously, mandatory thank you to all my patrons. You are all legends, and it's because of each of you I get to keep doing this, and I love doing this. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much. I will see you all next week.